Over the last few weeks, I've told you all to be extremely cautious about Solana as many things were happening that could have caused a ton of volatility. One of the main things that we were focused on was the fact that Robinhood was force selling all of its users Solana, which of course could have injected millions of dollars of sold tokens onto the market, possibly crashing the price in the process. But what I told you is that although these things do tend to look bad, oftentimes in bear markets we will see that these events are actually non-events, and although you do need to be cautious about them, still dollar cost averaging around them isn't a terrible idea, because in a bear market, when negative events happen, oftentimes we see the price go in the opposite direction and actually see a bit of a pump. Well, what we're seeing right now seems to be that exact thing, and so I want to give you just an update of what's happening with Solana and what I'm doing with Solana in order to capitalize on as many gains as possible. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. So what we can see here is that over the last few weeks, again, Solana has been incredibly volatile. Its price, of course, was doing relatively decent, going a bit sideways before, of course, this massive sell-off due to the SEC suing Binance, SEC suing Coinbase, Robinhood saying that they were going to sell all their Solana. All of these things ended up pushing Solana's price down over 43% to the downside. But what we can see here is that although that news was somewhat negative, the sell the rumor buy the news event did happen, in which its price did start to work its way back up to the upside, and we are looking at some pretty strong gains of over 37% off the bottom that we put in around this Fibonacci 618 to 786 zone. Now, many of you do know we were accumulating in this little zone. We were slowly buying in on some Solana, mostly because our chart prime oscillator was just telling us, look, this thing is oversold. We're getting reversal triangles. We're getting bullish momentum dots. All of these things say, hey, listen, we're probably going to get a bounce soon here. So as a result of that, we did start to dollar cost average in right here, which obviously has played out quite well. But what I do want to say is that although this has looked pretty dang good, I am starting to get a little bit nervous about what its price is doing. So let me explain why. So although yes, we have seen Solana's price get a strong move to the upside here, there are a few things that are sitting directly above us, which easily could force its price back to the downside to possibly even see new lows than this. Now, the main one that I'm the most focused on right now is this descending level of resistance, or this trend line that has been above us since May of 2022. Now, we're talking about a trend line that is over 14 months old at this point, which obviously does serve a lot of weight, and which could again force the price of Solana back down to what many people believe to be $12, maybe even $10. You can see here that we have established resistance on this thing not once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times to the upside. And so obviously with that in mind, we need to be aware that some type of, big push to the downside off of this could very easily happen again. Every single time that we have gotten up to this line, we have set a new macro lower low. And so if this is the case, what we need to understand is that once this thing gets back up towards about $20 to $21, we easily could see its price get forced all the way back down another 40 to 50% to the downside, just like we have historically. Now, I'm not going to say that that absolutely has to happen. And what I will say is that we're actually at a point in time in which if we look at our weekly indicators, we're actually starting to see some strong momentum here. We're actually starting to see that we're getting this reversal triangles printing. We're actually seeing that we're getting this ribbon twisting on this weekly chart prime oscillator. All of these things say that we do have the room to the upside to actually get a move above this trend line, but we have not gotten that confirmation yet, and it is very dangerous to say we're definitely going to break out here, because if you're wrong, again, you easily could see your position fall 48 to 50% to the downside almost immediately. And so with that in mind, I'm paying very, very close attention again to what is happening with this descending level of resistance. Now, not only that though, even under the circumstances in which we're capable of breaking this descending level, we're also still looking at what many people call a liquidity double top, or a level in which we saw 2 establishments of resistance in a key zone of liquidity. What you can see here is that as we did get this move to the downside here back in June of 2022, we put in a macro bottom right between $25 and $27. Now, this is the same zone that we established a ton of liquidity in back in the bull market of 2021. And with that in mind, it says, hey, listen, this is a key level of resistance or a key level of support, depending on what side you're on. And as you can see, we have now gotten this strong establishment of resistance at that zone, which many people do call a double top. Now, typically and traditionally, double tops at the bottom of these massive downtrends aren't really that effective, but they are something to pay attention to. And under the circumstance that we do see this double top completely play out, its breakdown target to the downside would look somewhere around $10, which which does actually line up quite well with the 786 support that we see down here for our Fibonacci golden zone. And so what that tells me is that there is still a strong chance that even if we get above this resistance level, we still have to get above this key level of rejection, because if not, again, the price could get forced all the way back down to what could be $10. And from that point, that is a fall of what, about 50 to 60% to the downside. So obviously there is still risk. Although again, this does look good, there is still risk. And buying while we are at this risk is something that you need to consider. Sure, dollar cost averaging here and here and here and here and here and here and here is great. But if you're looking to actually buy in, if you're looking to actually go long, I think going long right here or even right here is a very risky thing to do. I would rather be looking for us to clear these major obstacles in the way before truly committing to another long trade. So the way in which I'm personally going to go about this is kind of a hybrid between going long and dollar cost averaging in. Personally speaking, I'm actually not going to be doing any more buying of Solana until we clear this descending level of resistance, currently sitting right around $20. I need to see we're capable of getting above this, because remember, if not, we could get rejected to the downside. Look at history. Historically speaking, we do get rejected from the downside after these type of rallies. We'll see the big drop off, we'll bounce back up to the trend line, and then we'll fall all the way back down to where that key level of support is. You can see it right here. We get that big drop off, back up to the trend line, and then we get rejected all the way back down to where that key level of support is. Look at the beginning of Solana, very similar. We get this big drop off, we come back up, establish the trend line, and then get rejected all the way back down to that key level of support. And so under the circumstances in which this does exactly the same thing that is done before, we would see the big drop off, back to the line of resistance, and then all the way back down to this key level of support. I obviously don't want to be buying if that is what's about to happen. I would rather be sure that we're in a better situation in which that might not happen by waiting for us to get back above this trend line first. So my first purchase is going to come once we break the trend line. My second purchase is going to happen once we're capable of breaking this key level of resistance, which is the more macro bear market, bull market resistance and support, which we establish support here, and resistance here. This seems to be kind of the revolving door. If we get above it, we're looking better. If we go below it, we're looking really bad. And so obviously I want to see us get above it, which would then indicate to me, look, we're in a great position to see some growth. So my two major purchases at this given point are going to happen once we get above this key level of resistance and once we're capable of breaking $27 to the upside, in which point I do believe Solana could very easily start to retest the $60 to $50 range. And of course, I want to take advantage of that. If we look at something like our weekly chart prime oscillator, we do have all of the room in the world to make this happen. This thing is currently still sitting right around the negative 93 level, and that tells us that we very easily could see a massive move to the upside, especially after all of these bullish indications that we've gotten over the last few months. And so with that in mind, I am looking to get prepared for Solana to make a move up here eventually, maybe towards the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year. And the way in which I will go about it is slowly and steady. And so with all of that in mind, guys, I am going to be doing all of my purchasing of Solana over on Phemex. You guys know they're the main partner of the channel, and they are offering just so much stuff that I think it's an absolute steal. They're a newer crypto exchange, and so they are offering tons of incentives to actually get early access to their token, which I do believe could see hundreds of percentages in gains once it does launch, because of course it is the native token of the actual exchange itself, and historically those do absolutely amazing. So you can get access to over 100 million XPT airdrop. You can actually get some other rewards such as some $5 vouchers, $10 vouchers, 5,000 MUSDT to get involved in some mock trading and just learn the process itself. You can get up to $50 in other rewards just for simply signing up. There's pre-mining rewards, $20 contract trading vouchers. There's so much going on because they are so new. And so in my opinion, whenever these opportunities do come around, they're not something that should be ignored. Go check them out. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and make sure that you do follow them on all of their socials so you know when all of their little promotions are happening. But with that in mind, guys, again, I will continue to update you as Solana, as Matic, as ADA, as Ethereum, as XRP, as all of these things do play out. And if you do enjoy these videos, make sure that you let me know by simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel so you never miss another one. But with that said, I will see you all very soon in the next one. Peace.